Hi, this is Jackie's Reading Room, and I'm your host, Jackie P. Have you turned some pages today? What do Michelle Obama, Malala Yousafzai, and astronaut Chris Hadfield all have in common? Do you know the answer? The answer is they have all written a memoir. Today we're going to talk about memoirs. I don't know if, like me, you enjoy reading books about either famous people or even somebody who has gone through um, a difficult challenge and how they overcame it. I really enjoy that. So I thought we could talk about memoirs today. On the website celadonbooks.com, the definition of a memoir goes like this, and I quote: more focused than an autobiography, a memoir is an intimate look at a moment in time. I also have this: a narrative written from the perspective of the author about an important part of their life. So if you compare with a biography, which usually somebody will write about themselves at the end of their lives, about their whole life, a memoir is really about either a moment in time, perhaps let's say that person was doing something at that time, or it could be about maybe some role they occupied or some event that happened to them. I'm going to give you a very good example of some memoirs that I have actually read, and one is on my TBR pile. It's a long pile, long and yeah, and wide and never ending. You may know Michael J. Fox, the Canadian actor and activist, from his famous role in Back to the Future, for the people who were teens in the 80s like me, or perhaps you even know him from Family Ties, right? He was on that TV show even more recently, Spin City, etc. Now, Michael J. Fox is actually a very good writer. He wrote he wrote, I believe, more than, I think he has about four books now. One, two, three. But the three I want to talk to you about today are all memoirs. So the first one that he published was in 2003. It's called Lucky Man. And this memoir deals about his being diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 1991. He was a young 30-year-old actor, and basically he sort of explains how he got to that time, and then the diagnosis, and his early career as well. It's completely fascinating, especially as I was telling you. I had a in the 80s, I was a big fan. I still am a big fan of Michael J. Fox, but I had my Michael J. Fox phase as a teenager. I had the posters on my wall, and his story is just incredible. I have great admiration, and he's a fellow Canadian, so we like that. His second memoir was published in 2010, and it's called Always Looking Up: The Adventures of an Incurable Optimist. And this memoir really focused on his life living with Parkinson's disease. Also, super interesting. His books are funny, witty, very interesting, obviously, because especially if, like me, you followed his career, you get to know a bit about some of his, jobs in some films or TV shows, and of course his life, how it changed following that diagnosis from 1991. And his most recent memoir is called No Time Like the Future. It was just out in 2020. I started reading it, but it's actually on my TBR pile for the summer of 2022. And the subtitle of this book is An Optimist Considers Mortality. And this memoir focuses more on his health challenges. So not only does he have to obviously live with Parkinson's disease, but he had some other health challenges over the years. And also, he at some point had to um, decide to stop his acting career because it was just too difficult. So these are some examples, I guess, from the same person. So on that website that I told you about at the beginning, celadonbooks.com, they actually mention four types of memoirs. And the first one is the transformation memoir. Really, this one is about a great challenge that the author went through. The second type is the confessional memoir, where the author shares painful or difficult secrets. Now, I was trying to think of a memoir that I've read that would fit. And I feel like the memoir I'm going to tell you about just now kind of fits in those two categories. It's called So Called Normal by Mark Hennick. Mark Hennick went through um, a difficult time, depression, suicidal attempts. And in So Called Normal, he basically talks about how one day he was going to jump off a bridge, and a man actually grabbed him and saved his life. Um, I have to tell you, it was very emotional to read this. At times, it was difficult because he is going through difficult things in the book. He takes you through it, but my God, when you get to the end, it's like you're rewarded with all the courage that he showed in the face of very difficult mental health challenges. And Mark Hennick is a Canadian speaker now. I believe he has a TED Talk. It's a great book to read, but once again, just to let you know, right? If ever you are going through some difficult time now, perhaps uh, you'll have to basically choose the right time, I think, to read it. I really believe that there are right times to read some books. So choose that time. The third category of memoir is professional or celebrity memoir. There are a lot of those out there, right? These memoirs focus on moments in an author's rise to fame and success. So the memoirs by Michael J. Fox would definitely go through that. Although it's not, clear cut and black or white. So obviously, you could also be a professional who has gone through some transformation, right? But an example of a professional or celebrity memoir that I'd like to share with you is I Am C3PO by Anthony Daniels. Now, if there are some Star Wars fans out there, you may know that Anthony Daniels, who portrays the beloved robot droid, I guess I should say. I don't think they would like me saying robot. Um, is the only actor of the Star Wars saga that basically was in all of the Star Wars films. So this memoir is really about all his, I guess, his role and the evolution of his role throughout the saga, and it's super interesting, especially if you know the series. You've seen the films and you've loved them like I have, and you get all kinds of insiders tidbits, and so I think this kind of memoir, I was telling you about the timing to read books. I think that you can read this at any moment. I read that. I remember during a summer vacation. I believe I was in Ontario with the men I love, and I remember reading that by the side of the lake. It was it was just fun. So that would be an example, but there's lots of them out there, obviously, that you can find. And I also love to read celebrity memoirs because it sort of reminds you that you know they are human beings just like us, and some of them went through some tough things, difficult. Difficulties in their careers or in their personal lives, and they are where they are today. So I always enjoy that. The last category is the travel memoir, and this is where you can escape with the author and learn about a place and time. Um, One author that I have to name is Bill Bryson. He is the travel memoirist. And one of his books that I read is called In a Sunburned Country, and this is about Australia. Now, I've never visited Australia, but I feel like I have all the theory. I have all the facts. It's like I've gone through an encyclopedia. It's so researched. There's so much in it. In that book, I learned about the huge spiders, but also about the Aboriginals and about um, the different towns and so much more. The people of Australia. Excellent book, but he's written quite a few more. So obviously, Bill Bryson is a name to write down if you've never picked one up. He's written one about Canada, several about the UK, and so on. So check him out. So there's a lot to choose from, obviously, depending on what you like. I find that it's very useful. I actually have my students read memoirs. One example of that would be Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson, who is a lawyer in the U.S. And just recently, I found out that one of my students, my former students, is actually going into law. And basically said to someone that it was one of the best books she's read, and it made her want to go into law. I mean, I have to tell you that's pretty cool when you find that out. So books do have that um, capacity to change people's lives. I really do believe that. And memoirs can do that for sure. Now, to wrap up, I'd like to just tell you about one memoir I read recently and that I really liked. Actually, I think it's going to be two. I want to tell you about Between Two Kingdoms. You may have heard of it. Its subtitle is A Memoir of a Life Interrupted. Was published in 2021 by Suleika Jawad. Now, Suleika, she is a writer. She's written in the New York Times Magazine and Vogue. And I would classify this a transformation memoir. Now, Suleika, she was diagnosed with cancer when she was very young. I don't think she was even 20, or she was in her early 20s. And it was a very aggressive cancer. And basically, while she was sick and going through treatment, she started this blog. And once she was done with all the care in the hospital, it took, I believe, it took about 4 years. It was a really long ordeal. She had to rediscover who she was, and so she decided to go on a tour of the US, and she went to meet the people, well, not all of them, but many of the people who wrote to her. And I have to tell you, it's just, I guess you could even call it part travel memoir, part transformation memoir. Beautifully written, and you know that this matters to me. And very emotional, of course, at times. I recently gave this book as a present to one of my former students who had battled cancer. I had asked her, "Do you like cancer stories?" She says, "Oh, I love them." So I guess it depends on the person. And so I gave them that as a gift because I feel like it's such an inspiring story. Another memoir, listen, I've read a lot of them, but time is of the essence. But I just want to briefly mention Beautiful Boy by David Sheff. Once again, if you are sensitive to, drug addiction issues, perhaps not the book for you. Um, very, I feel like I'm saying this a lot, but very emotional. And the story of a father who is trying to help his son uh, uh, fight a drug addiction. So listen, very, very amazing book. It was made into also a great film with Timothée Chalamet. So check this out. Listen, there are a lot of memoirs out there, biographies. If you've never tried one, I would suggest that you go to your local bookstore or local library and find out about one that you may enjoy and start reading. So go ahead and go turn some pages today. Take care. See you soon.